You may not realize it, but tiki drinks are actually craft cocktails. On this episode of Tiki with Ray, we're going to be talking about how the craft cocktail craze paved the way for tiki and tiki bars.
Okay.
Hi everyone, this is Ray, or some of you might know me as Tiki with Ray, and I'm with my good buddy Travis Bay, and we are at the North Shore Lagoon in Bothell, Washington. It's part of the McMenamins chain, and McMenamins, what they do is they actually recondition and refurbish like old historic buildings and make them into pubs and bars and restaurants. And what they actually did is they actually took the old Bothell High School, which is a complex of several buildings, and made it into a hotel, a tavern, a fine dining restaurant, a movie theater, and also a tiki bar. Mm-hmm. So obviously we're here at the tiki bar.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Where else would we be?
Yeah, exactly. What are you drinking there?
I am drinking a Jungle Bird, Ray, and it's freaking delicious.
Yeah, the Jungle Bird's an interesting drink because it actually has Campari in it, and which is I think it's the only tiki drink that has Campari in it. Is it?
I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. It would take some investigating in my bartending tomes once I get home, but
Okay.
I'm going to take your word for it right at this point.
Well, go home and get those tomes and come back and tell me.
Later.
I want to find those answers.
We got more important things to talk about right now than Campari.
What do we have to talk about? As we are sipping our Jungle Birds, which is a fine mixture of rum and pineapple juice and Campari. And this is actually a nice crafted cocktail.
It's a beautifully crafted cocktail.
But things weren't like that back in like the 70s and the 80s.
No.
A lot of the tiki drinks back then were kind of more
Syrup.
pineapple juice, orange juice,
Sugar.
sugar.
There was a reason why the moniker umbrella drinks kind of got a bad name there for a while, because they weren't very tasty.
No, they weren't. And well, originally the original tiki drinks that first came out were, from Don the Beachcomber and Trader Vic's, were finely crafted cocktails, tons of rum, very little syrups and stuff like that. And then the drinks devolved into like just essentially pineapple juice and rum. And actually that's what people wanted. Supposedly people would go to Hawaii and they would want a Mai Tai that was just grenadine, pineapple juice, and a little bit of rum. They didn't want...
Well, I hear it was free as soon as they got off the plane or got to their hotel.
And if it was free, well, obviously an original Trader Vic's Mai Tai would probably be expensive.
Yeah.
But the palates of the people from the 70s and the 80s, that's what they liked. They wanted like sugary drinks.
Yeah.
But it almost became like a novelty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say that.
Yeah. So, back in the mid-2000s is when the craft cocktail movement started.
Yes.
Up until that time, it was kind of tough to find a good place that would serve like a decent martini.
Right. You probably would have to go to an old school supper club or someplace like that.
Yeah. I remember I moved to Seattle in 2002, and I remember the only place you can go get a martini was the place called Teeny Biggs. Mm-hmm. And maybe Vito's. And yeah, Vito's is kind of like this like Rat Pack kind of bar.
Okay, I could only give you references from Minneapolis, where if you wanted a really finely crafted cocktail back then, it was Jack's Cafe or Nye's Polonaise Room. Mm-hmm. There was a couple other places around who knew how to make old school drinks.
Yeah, I remember when I lived in Pennsylvania, this would have been like the early 90s. And I remember when the whole swing dancing thing got really, really popular. And I remember there was one cocktail bar that opened up in Philadelphia. And I remember it was a big deal. I think the place was called the Five Spot or something like that. And it was awesome because, like, wow, you can actually go and you can actually get a martini. So as I said, the craft cocktail movement really, really started in like the mid-2000s. And I remember I was really, really excited about that, to be getting these like really fine crafted drinks. And that exploded. You know, we live in the Seattle area, and there's now, you can get a craft cocktail pretty much at anywhere.
I mean, yeah. Any mid-sized town is going to have, or larger, is going to have a place fiddling around with craft cocktails, or trying to.
Well, one interesting thing about like craft cocktails though is they're not cheap.
No.
Because up until that point, you would go to a bar and maybe you'd buy a beer and it'd be like $4. Or if you're gonna, I remember a gin and tonic would be like $4, $4 or $5. If you did a cold drink, you know, $5 or something like that. And I remember even back then, like, well, if you're gonna get like a craft cocktail, it's gonna be like $8 or $9. And back then, that was a lot of money. Well, people got used to that though. And fast forward to 2017, now craft cocktails are like $10, $11, $12, $13.
Yeah, or more.
Yeah. When it comes to tiki drinks, it's kind of the same thing. Tiki drinks are craft cocktails.
Absolutely, they are.
And we're talking about drinks that have, well, like how many ingredients would be like in a Mai Tai? I think it's like 6 or 5, right?
Yes.
You know, in a zombie, I think it's like over 8 or something like that.
Yes.
Multiple rums and things. And, well, you got to pay for those rums, those shots of rum. So a tiki drink, they're not cheap to begin with.
Nope.
So I remember when I started really getting into going to tiki bars, my drink bill would be definitely a lot more expensive than drinking PBR at a dive bar.
Right, but did you slam that tiki drink?
No.
Like you did with the PBR at the dive bar? Or
No.
did you
not at
nurse
all.
it and enjoy it and savor
No,
all
I
those
would.
flavors?
I always nurse drinks, and but I guess what I'm getting at is like it wasn't a big. It was, since I was used to drinking craft cocktails that were shooting around $10. It wasn't a big deal to throw down $10 to get a tiki drink. But I definitely think craft cocktails have opened the way for people to go to tiki bars.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I could go along with that.
Yeah,
I mean,
because imagine like, say you have the environment, you know, the environment speaks for itself. And say you come down and you're looking at the menu like, oh my God, this drink costs $13? People be like, this is ridiculous. But since craft cocktails have now been part of our culture now, it's not a big deal.
no. I mean, there's still room for the dive bar and the $3 PBRs. But every once in a while, that just won't do. And you want something like this. And you want the flavor experience. And, you know, you're gonna shell out the cash for it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the craft cocktail movement was the precursor to what made tiki possible now.
Oh yeah, I would say that was had a big thing to do with it. Did you know what kind of started
No.
the ball rolling on the craft cocktail movement?
No, what is that?
The bloody Cosmopolitan.
The Cosmo.
The Cosmo that got popular in the late 90s, early 2000s.
How so?
And,
What?
it was cheap to make. It looked classy in a martini glass.
Yeah.
Of course, it had vodka in it, so it wasn't very complicated. But people were adding things and making it tasty for a little vodka drink, right? You get it served in a martini glass, and it started getting popular in New York and Miami. And the big thing that started pushing it over the edge was it became the drink of choice for the ladies on Sex and the City.
Wow.
And after those ladies were drinking those cocktails on Sex and the City, everybody else wanted to drink that Cosmopolitans because it was such a popular show.
Interesting.
So it became this. Once was, done by bartenders. It became this, of course, hated drink by bartenders after a bit, after everyone wanted to drink it. And so the bartenders started going, we can do better.
Yeah.
We can take better ingredients. We can make better alcohol. We can come up with something with better flavor profiles. We can go back in the past and rehash some of these classics with better flavor profiles than this. And so that actually got the ball rolling for the craft cocktails movement that we know today, where people are using fresh herbs, fresh ingredients, homemade bitters.
Wow. So there you go. The next time you're enjoying your Mai Tai, you might have to thank the girls from Sex and the City.
Yep.
So with that, aloha, mahalo, and good night.
Good night. Cheers.
Cheers.
Need another?
Hi everyone, this is Tiki with Ray, or some of you might... Hi everyone, this is Tiki with Ray, or some of you might know me as Tiki with Ray. Okay, right. Hi everyone, this is Ray, or some of you might know me as Tiki with...
You haven't had that many, Ray.
Yeah.